episode 199, if you can believe it, of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
I'm Bill, and it was a very interesting week in the world, an interesting week in sports, and let's hope it's going to be a quieter week this week, at least on the world side.
Please.
I was blessed this week. I was blessed to get a COVID shot yesterday.
Very nice.
And I have to say that as all the criticism we've heard, I had help getting on the website to get my appointment. My appointment was at 9:45 at University Mall.
Okay.
In the parking garage. And so I arrived about 9. So don't arrive early. I arrived about 9:35. Drove through, turned in my papers. I had the paperwork for a Moderna shot and a Pfizer shot. It was a Pfizer shot they were giving me. Got my shot at 9:45, and they held me till 10 o'clock, and then I was gone.
Very nice.
I mean, it was as smooth as possible could be. Now, our governor's letting anybody over the age of 65 apply for a shot, whether you live here or not, which is upset a lot of residents because they think it should be Florida first.
And I also think it's a certain class of people that are getting those shots, and he's getting a certain cut of that money. It seems to be the story everybody keeps talking about.
I don't know about that, but you know that the tourism thing and making sure the snowbirds are taken care of so they keep coming back. It's all part of it. Florida's a complicated place.
It is.
But so I have to go back 3 weeks from yesterday to get phase 2 of the shot, and we've been told that phase 2 of the shot, you will probably have, you'd probably be down for about 24 hours after the second shot.
Okay.
So,
Well,
stuff.
we are back to phase 1 here in New Orleans, so we're not going in the right direction here.
No, unfortunately, nobody is. After Christmas and after Thanksgiving and New Year's, I mean, we're paying the piper now.
Yeah.
And so we'll see what happens. But let's get back to sports. So let's start with
National championship game.
Playoff, because that's tomorrow night. It's the last game. So last week, neither of us were surprised with the Notre Dame game.
No.
I mean, that was about, if I'm surprised at anything, I'm surprised Alabama didn't score 50 points. That's probably the only thing I'm surprised about. But I didn't think it would be a close game. I didn't think it would be a good game. And as we've always said, the difference is speed. And Notre Dame's got some fast players. Everybody in Alabama's fast. I mean, it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
And then Devonta Smith, it's hard to argue with him winning the Heisman Trophy.
No, he was fantastic. And as much as, it's nice to see non-quarterbacks win that, because that needs to happen more often, or they need to just change the award of best quarterback. Because,
I mean, it just seems like he can get open whenever he wanted to get open.
And he's a tiny, skinny little dude, but he just seems to make plays
He
constantly.
reminds me of a certain number 81 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and former number 84 for the Steelers.
Yeah, I've heard that, and I've heard a little bit of Marvin Harrison, who I guess also is somewhat problematic.
Yep.
So hopefully he avoids those trappings. Yeah.
Then we had the Clemson-Ohio State game, and I was very surprised at that game.
Still surprised
I
a little
thought
bit.
Clemson would win, but Ohio State's game plan to utilize their tight ends was absolutely the right move and absolutely caught Clemson by surprise. And then his ability to hit the deep ball was blew me away, because he had not looked good. And remember, there was all that criticism about he was dropping in the draft and he wasn't looking good and he wasn't playing against anybody good, yada, yada, yada. And all of a sudden he comes out and just has the game of his life.
Yeah. And in old school fashion, they won that game in the trenches. Their D-line dominated. Trevor Lawrence was under pressure the entire game. Their O-line kept Justin Fields clean.
No, Trevor Lawrence ran for his life the entire game.
Yeah.
And again, that's surprising. I mean, I just did not see that coming.
But, yeah. To be fair, we didn't get to see a lot of Ohio State all year, so,
No. And we'll see what happens tomorrow night. Now, my gut tells me that they can't play like that again, and they can't play like that against Alabama.
Yeah. And Justin Fields, as good as he played last week, is hurt. So he's not going to be 100%, and that can't be helpful, you know.
And we know that Saban watched that film, and you know he's like kind of like Belichick in that, okay, you beat with tight ends, the tight ends are not going to beat me.
No.
But the Alabama secondary has given up big plays to high-passing quarterbacks. So we'll have to see what happens. But I think it's going to be a good game. I don't know if it's going to be a great game, but I think it's going to be a good game.
No, if I had to predict right, if I was betting money, I would bet Alabama to cover.
Yeah, I would pick Alabama to cover. I would pick Alabama to win between 10 and 13 points.
And we still don't know if Jalen Waddle is going to go for Alabama, right?
Everything seems to indicate that he is, though, huh?
Yeah. But you look at that team.
It's just the way people answer the questions and their facial expressions, and you would seem like this is going to be the secret weapon they pull out of the hat. I don't know.
And that secret weapon is yet another projected first-round pick at wide receiver, as if they don't already have enough. You know?
I mean, it just seems like they go 4 or 5 deep.
Yeah. And then the next year there's 4 or 5 more. So.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, sticking on football, we had 3 games yesterday.
We did.
Anything surprise you yesterday?
I don't, like I said, I think we both talked about, like, the Indianapolis-Buffalo game was a little closer than I thought. I think part of you wonders, you know, as good as Buffalo has been, this is really their first chance to shine in the playoffs, and everybody's been talking them up as the team everybody believes in, despite the fact that the Chiefs literally lost 1 game and Patrick Mahomes had another MVP-like season. People are like, the Bills are the team to beat, the Bills are the team to beat. And, you know, maybe, you know, like I said, they still played a really nice game. They had some great drives, but I thought they would beat Indy handily. And Indy had a chance to either tie or win in the last part of the game. So that was a little surprising. You know,
there's some suspect calls in that game, too.
There were. I mean, you know, Sean McVay and the Rams have absolutely owned Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. They just have. And the Seahawks have not played good football in probably like 6 weeks. Jamal Adams was hurt. And their offense that looked like just world class for the first third of the season has been just trash.
Well, if you were watching the Seattle game and you watched the Rams defense, you got to see what the word shutdown corner. If you've never seen shutdown corner, you saw it in live and in person last night.
Yeah. And as people pointed out, I mean, to be fair, Jamal Adams was hurt. He's got a separated labrum, and that can't be a great way to play safety. But they gave up, speaking of the shutdown corner the Rams have, Jalen Ramsey, they gave up 2 first-round picks for him, and he looks like he was worth every bit of those first-round picks, where the Seattle also gave up 2 first-round picks for Jamal Adams. And, you know, results have been mixed this year, and, you know, obviously the injury, jury's still out, but it's a very different first 2-round picks to give up.
Sure.
And then the other game, I think if I was a Washington professional football team guy, I'd be pretty happy right now. My team steadily got better every all year. On offense, I've got, you know, Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gibson, Logan Thomas. Maybe they bring this Old Dominion quarterback back. Got some nice offensive linemen. I got Chase Young and Sweat on the defense. I've finally woken up to the 20th century and agreed to change my team name, and whether we stay the football team or get a new logo, like, you got to feel pretty good if you're a Redskin fan moving forward. Obviously, the Haskin thing, you know, notwithstanding, it's a pretty big blow to lose the number 15.
One of the best quarterback performances I think I've seen in a playoff game by somebody that had played a game. I mean, he was amazing.
Yeah.
Taylor Heineke, he was amazing.
And he looked like he had the goods.
All night long.
Yeah. But he looked like he could make the throws. You know, he could throw the outs. He could throw the deep ball. He was really good, you know, maneuvering in the pocket, avoiding sacks. Like, you know, you never know. I mean,
he had some huge numbers in college. He threw for almost 15,000 yards.
He threw for 700 yards in a game.
Yeah.
It's hard to do that in Madden.
Old Dominion was fighting for the national championship every year he was there.
Yeah.
They were in the playoffs. He was really good. And it's just amazing you can get a guy, you know, that ready to play. And that's kudos again to Ron Rivera's coaching staff.
Yeah. And like I said, I thought they were, I mean, that can't be too surprising because obviously, you know, somewhat biased. They did beat the Steelers, and Washington's been really. I mean, kind of once the second half of the season got going, Washington's been a really competitive, feisty team, and Tampa's been.
Yeah.
You down there with Tampa more than I am.
Tampa is 10-0 against teams with losing records, and 2-5 against everybody else.
But they did crush the Green Bay Packers, who were the presumable favorites. Like, beat them handily. So, you know. Now, here's a question that's been brought up. We'll stick with playoff football. Presumably, old man Tom Brady or old man Drew Brees at some point is going to have to go to Green Bay. And old man Ben Roethlisberger is going to be playing in the cold weather as well. But I feel like with Roethlisberger and Brady, even though they've got the age, like, it's got to affect them less, right?
They've done it more. Yeah, they've done it their whole careers.
They've been playing outside in the Northeast their entire careers, you know.
Yep.
Up until this season for Brady.
Yep.
And have you changed your mind on any of the games today?
The Steelers will beat the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
The Ravens will beat the Titans. And who's playing other game? Oh, and the Saints will crush the Bears.
Yeah, that's the one. I think that game got too much attention as the look out, look out. Because the Bears are one of those
teams. I'm not looking out for that game.
No, but the Bears have a little bit more talent than you think. Breeze has been
they did.
a little,
They did.
And Trubisky's one of those quarterbacks a lot like Jared Goff. Like, if they can establish the run and get that play action pass going, I mean, Allen Robinson's a great receiver. They've got pieces, and Trubisky has shown that at times, it's very infrequent. Maybe it's like 1 out of every 5 games, but that's been what's made him so frustrating is, just like Jeff Green in the NBA and countless athletes throughout the century where it's like they look like the guy you thought they were, 20% of the time to the point where you're like, he's still pretty young, maybe.
Yeah.
And, if you're the Bears, like you're playing, you've got house money. Nobody thinks you're winning today. If you're Trubisky, this, if you've got it in you, this is probably your last chance to really show everybody, like, hey, I'm not that terrible. I'm not Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes, but...
I said Buffalo Packers on the show for the Super Bowl. I haven't seen anything make me change my mind.
No, that's...
I thought Buffalo would have won by more points yesterday as well, like you did.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, his first playoff game now is under their belt. Now they're ready.
They are. And I think, when they go to Arrowhead, they're still going to be underdogs against the Chiefs. And I think that's where the Bills feel comfortable anyway. So. Yeah. And I guess you brought up off the air an interesting, Deshaun Watson and the Texans, speaking of football.
Yeah. And so the storyline is that ownership hired Korn Ferry's famous search firm to do a search to identify the next general manager for the Texans. And the 2 finalists that Korn Ferry delivered were Louis Riddick and Omar Khan from the Steelers. And I think they had Omar Khan ranked as number 1.
They did.
And he's the number 2 guy in the Steelers. And if you look at the Steelers in their history of drafting and their history of being always in the playoffs, I mean, they've played more playoffs in 25 years than anybody else.
Right.
So, I mean, that would make logical sense, right?
And they are an A+. Yeah.
And even though the hire came from the Patriots, this guy was not on Korn Ferry's list.
No.
And so you spent, let's say you spent $250,000 on the search. So you spent $250,000 and you hire a guy that isn't on the search.
Right.
Isn't the recommended person. But it's the guy that you thought you wanted to hire the last time. So you're Deshaun Watson, and you're sitting there saying, okay, last year we traded away DeAndre Hopkins. That really hurt us this year. Now you hire a guy, and now we don't have any input into the guy, and you hire the guy the search firm doesn't want to hire. So maybe it's time for me to leave. And so either he's floating the rumor, or his agent's floating the rumor, or somehow the rumor's out there. Deshaun Watson to the Dolphins for Tua and some other compensation.
Yeah. And
you and I talked offline. We thought that's a good trade.
Yeah, because the Dolphins have 4 picks in the first 2 rounds, including the number 3 overall pick. So, if it's some combination of, a first, a second, Tua for Watson. And again, if you're the Texans, you're basically starting from scratch. You're getting Tua on a rookie deal as opposed to, a $35, $40 million a year Deshaun Watson.
$56 million for
Yeah.
Deshaun.
And I think Deshaun is one of the best quarterbacks in football. End of statement. But I mean, they're not in a position where, he's getting crushed every year for the Texans. And, you're probably not going to get as good as you give, but it might be the time to move and, move in a different direction with the Texans. J.J. Watt's going to be gone. I mean, that team is not that team anymore. And I would say, if you look at,
If you believe that Tua is an NFL quarterback and you believe that he's got a chance to be a star, it's a good way for you to take that star and build a team around him. And
Yes.
hopefully don't get him killed because, if you're going to be bad, you're going to be bad.
Right. And I would say, Omar Khan, if you look at, Steelers Patriots, the Patriots ended up with the Belichick Brady combo, and they covered up a lot of warts. Where the Steelers have done it through the draft. I mean, I think the Steelers organization has been so steady and so consistent. I feel like Omar Khan would have been, there's a reason the search picked him as the guy, and he probably should still be the guy.
Although he's also the guy that is going to pay Roethlisberger $41 million next year.
It's true.
Because he's also the cap guy.
It is. And, I think like Belichick, though, I think if you're the Steelers, you saw we don't have a quarterback on the roster. We have a Hall of Fame quarterback that's taken us to 3 Super Bowls. We've got all these young receivers. Let's push all our chips into the middle of the table with, guys like Hayden and Pouncey and Hayward and all these guys probably on their last leg. Even Tyson Alualu. You go down the list, they have, a lot of nice young pieces, but also a lot of older guys that are their standouts. And to be fair, they won 12 games. They're hosting a playoff game today, and who knows,
Yeah.
You really don't know. The ball bounces one way. Because I think if we've seen anything this year, there's not an 08 Patriots here. There's not a team you're watching where you're like, oh my God. And even, like I said, it sounds ridiculous to say because the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year. They went 15-1 this year, and Mahomes put up insane stats. So maybe that is the team, and we're just not giving them enough credit because we're expecting, our expectations for them are so unrealistic other than winning 15 games. But from what we've seen on the field, it doesn't, eye test wise, it doesn't look like there is a team that's like, oh my God, look at this team, Steelers could win, you never know.
So, there are going to be good games today. There are going to be good games next week.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I enjoy it. But we'll have to keep our eye on this Watson thing and see how this pans out because he's not happy. And when a player's not happy and you're going to go into a rebuild, then you got to take a hard look at what you're going to do.
And like I said, if you are the Texans right now, and if that is a realistic trade, and you're bringing in Tua, who before the injury was considered a can't-miss QB prospect on a rookie deal with 3 years left, and you're going to get, like I said, maybe you get another 1 and a 2, maybe it's a 3rd pick in the draft, you can you can turn this thing around real fast, And you have a lot more money on the cap. I think and the Dolphins are really close to competing. I think it's a win-win for both teams potentially. It's like a Jefferson Diggs trade all over again.
If you get rid of Sean Watson and J.J. Watt,
Yeah.
you're freeing up a lot of money to build a pretty good team. And maybe like you said, because of all that cap money you've got now and all these resources, and your Tua's a good quarterback, maybe you're not that far away. Maybe
No.
you're just taking a step back. It's really not a total rebuild. You're taking a step back and you're reloading. So we'll see.
Yeah. I guess because we've talked about the balls so frequently on our show over the past, 199 episodes, because they're...
We got to have a shout out to LaMelo today.
Yeah. Youngest player in NBA history to record a triple-double. And I know people, say that stat doesn't mean as much as it did, because it's easier to attain, seemingly. But that's still a really impressive feat.
And I watched the highlights, and, he looks very comfortable, like he's already played for a year.
Yeah.
He looks comfortable. Whereas Lonzo in that first year never looked comfortable.
No.
And Lonzo's looking comfortable now. He's in a different place. He's not in L.A. So he looks comfortable and he's playing well as well. But LaMelo looks like it was always touted that he was going to be the best of the three. He looks like he's the best of the three.
Yeah, and he looks a little bit like one of those kids, that, like Denny Advier, or, Luka. Like, he does play like a guy from Europe that's been playing against grown men his whole life, and he just walks in and it's not that big a deal to him. Now, he still gets, he's still turning the ball over and he's got stuff to work on, but there doesn't seem to be any of that fear in him.
No, that looks like a very, very solid pick for Charlotte.
Yeah.
A team that really needed to make some solid picks.
And a team that, if you didn't have Michael Jordan as your owner, like, there's nothing remarkable about Charlotte. I mean, whether you think, whether you like the dad or not, or you already know it, the Ball brothers, like, he's an exciting player to watch. And he's a wizard with the ball. Like, he makes some incredible passes. And, good for him.
And also, I feel really bad for Markelle Fultz.
Incredibly bad for Fultz.
He was in the right situation, and it was starting to unfold for him, and then he gets a devastating injury like that.
And he was, I know, as people always point out, it was 6 games this year. But all the flashes we saw the last year with the Magic, like, it seemed like he was, he was playing at a level where when whether he would make it or not, he would be, like, if he kept playing the way he played the early part of the season, he would be in the conversation for an NBA All-Star. I think it's fair to say that.
For sure. And the Magic were playing well, and it's bad for the Magic, and it's bad for him. I feel bad on both of those counts.
And if I'm the Magic right now, I am dumping anybody that can help me win. This is a good draft coming out with the Oklahoma State kid and a couple of others. I just lost Fultz. I've already lost Jonathan Isaacs. The last thing I want is Vucevic dragging us to, like, a slightly better record. And I just selfishly, I want Aaron Gordon somewhere else to see if there's anything there or not.
Staying on the basketball thing, the lineup that the Sixers had last night was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You picked the best of the G League. It was all their young picks and not a lot of others. It's COVID related and injury related.
Yeah. I mean, like we said, we haven't hit the holiday spike in this country yet. Like, that's what all the medical experts keep saying. Like, as things are getting bad, like, my industry is shut down in Los Angeles, shut down in New York, parts of Atlanta are shut down, but Atlanta's a little more wild, wild west than everywhere else. And, we are clinging to hope that we just keep getting negative tests back every day, but, that spike is coming. So I think for the NBA and everybody else, like, it's,
Yeah. This is going to be, and baseball's going to be the same thing, and you've seen it in football. You've seen all these guys missing for the Browns today.
Yeah.
The head coaches out today. It's
Now,
endurance. It's, can you survive? It's, how is your depth, and how is your mental state?
now, as a Steeler fan,
Your guys.
I'm happy Stefanski's not coaching today. And I know that's been the rule the whole year. But in my mind, he should be able to coach from the TV. He should be able to have a cell phone and be communicating with his team. Like, I know that wasn't...
I've not seen the rationale for that. Why the college coaches couldn't do it. I have no rationale why that is.
No. I understand that's...
why you don't want him in the press box, but I don't see why he's not on Zoom.
Yeah, why he can't be on TV and on Zoom watching the game, at least calling into halftime, being like, this is what I saw, this is what we need to do. I know that was the rule all year and you don't want to change it now, but it just seems kind of dumb. I don't know.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think it happens anyhow?
The cynical part of me really thinks it does.
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be some way, even if it's not his direct line. I know the NFL said it's not going to happen. They're going to be monitoring cell phones and all sorts of other stuff, but, like, I feel like there's plenty of ways,
I just think it's stupid. It's stupid. He's your coach. He's on Zoom at home. He's not around anybody. He's not affecting anybody. That's the issue. The issue is he's not being punished. The issue is he's not healthy. He can't be around other people. Fine.
Right.
But let him do his job, not being around other people.
At the very least, I feel like the Browns will have, like, some sort of history major hanging out at his house doing Morse code, do another history major hanging out at the Browns Stadium so that the NFL can't
something.
monitor it. Yeah, like, there's got to be, it just,
And Saban
Yeah. Again, like you said, he's
And
still
that's
separated,
stupid.
but if he can call in, let him call in.
Yeah, if the issue is health and safety, and he's complying with health and safety, then why do you care?
Yeah. And that's coming from a Steeler fan that's happy that he's out today, but it's just I don't like it.
Although we know how the Steelers have the habit of playing down to the competition.
Dear God, do we know?
Last week they played up to the competition. This week they could play down to the competition, like they did when the Ravens had all those guys out.
Yeah. And it's been consistent for the last 15 years. I feel like it's hard to, just given the importance of the quarterback and the head coach, I always try to say it's a Tomlin Roethlisberger issue.
Well, I watched the betting guys on ESPN today.
Okay.
And ESPN, one of the guys, his game was take the Steelers and get the points. And they think the Steelers are going to be, now if they're healthy, they're going to be closer to being the Steelers that we saw in the first 11 weeks. And the Browns were at a disadvantage, so take the Steelers and get the points.
I think that sounds smart.
And as a Steelers fan, I just can't do that because I've seen too many games where they play down to the competition.
Okay.
And they're slow starters to begin with.
Wow.
And Roethlisberger's not great coming off a bye or a rest.
No, but he's at a different stage.
That's what I'll say.
Yeah. But he needed this rest badly, so.
He did, no question.
Yeah. So if you're a Steeler fan, the cause for optimism is you got screwed twice this season with COVID and people moving your games around. You ended up having 3 games in 11 days and 5 games in December, which is just too much football for no matter who you are to play. It just is. And now you've got most of your starters out for a rest. You're back at home, and this should be the team we saw that started 11 now. And that's what you hope.
And you lost 2 of your prime defenders this year to devastating injuries. But now you got one of your starters back in the offensive line, and you got your top rookie. Well, one of your top rookies back, or I don't know if he's really a rookie, Spillane.
Yes. And since we're near the end of the show, we'll do one more minute of Steeler talk and then we'll go food. But I just wanted to point out, too, I think the interesting storyline that's popped out the last 3 or 4 weeks of Pittsburgh, and it's come from the mouths of wide receivers, is that when the Steelers' offense starts clicking, Ben Roethlisberger is calling the plays. And when their offense sucks and they're throwing screens and running the ball into the line and not getting anywhere on first and second down, it's their offensive coordinator calling the plays. So it's going to be interesting to see how that manifests itself in the playoffs.
Well, the key to Steelers working is you got to be able to throw 20 yards or more.
Yeah.
To open it. You can't run unless you're doing that because everybody's up on the line of scrimmage. And they're up on the line of scrimmage, that means unless somebody catches one of those screens and breaks it, they're going to gain 2 or 3 yards on a pass. So.
Yes.
Yep. Any food or entertainment moments?
I do. We mentioned it before, but there's a bakery down here called Mayhew, M-A-H or M-A-Y-H-E-U. It's in Mid-City, and they make really good pizza. It started as a pizza pop-up along with their breads. But it makes sense. If you make good bread, you're probably good at making dough, and pizzas, you make the right sauce and cheese choices. But we actually ordered a Sicilian pie yesterday, which is like a 6-slice. It's kind of a thinner Sicilian, I would say. But,
Okay.
got a very crispy, buttery bottom crust. And just, really fresh. You can tell, the sauce is very simple. It's like just a simple tomato sauce, but it's not that bitter tomato sauce. They use good cheese and good quality products, and it was a really good, just delicious. So we had tried the regular pizza, and then we got the Sicilian, and they both are winners.
Well, I haven't had my food moment this week, but I'm going to have it on Tuesday because Jason's mom, Sharon, is going to make me the chocolate cupcakes from the cake bakery book for my birthday.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
And
So I'm excited about that. So hopefully that'll be my food moment this week. Although I did go to Via Italia again. I should say that. My little place right down the street, and we ate there the other night, and I had tagliatelle bolognese, and I had a Roman-style pizza with pepperoni, mushroom, sausage, and both of those things were out of sight. They were tremendous. And that's the first time we've actually eaten in that restaurant.
okay. And on the entertainment front, I can't say 2020 did a great job of this, but I watched a special on the dating game killer or dating show game killer, and it was.
I saw it advertised. I haven't seen it. How is it?
It's pretty. Well, it's both frustrating and fascinating. Like it's not the most well executed from a an entertainment standpoint, but it's another one where here's this guy gets accused of kidnapping, assault, and somehow he ends up out of jail in a week. Of course, because of some sort of police mishandling of evidence, and he goes on to kill at least 6 people that they know of, and they think it was a lot more. But after he had already killed a bunch of people, and he was out in Los Angeles, and he was a contestant on the dating show. The one where it's like the girl is over here, and there's a blindfold, and then there's 3 guys.
Yeah.
And the one producer was like, we don't want to put him on, he's creepy. But the girl producer was like, he's really handsome, people are going to love him. So he's up there, and he wins. And he's doing really weird, the dating show is corny. I mean, you're saying the weird innuendo stuff. But he wins, but then the producer said they got a call like 3 days later from the girl that had picked him and was like, this guy is creepy, I don't want to go on a date with him. I didn't know they followed up or they had to go on a date with the person. I thought it was just a TV show. But, she refused to go on a date with him because just in the phone conversation, he was creeping her out. And it turns out he'd already been a serial killer that had murdered multiple people.
Was that on Netflix? What was it on?
That was on the Hulu. It's a 2020 special. Like, it's just fascinating that, there was a manhunt for him and he changed his name and he had, he'd done all this horrible stuff, but then he goes on national television and he's the pick of the dating show,
Wow.
But then the woman who picked him,
check that out.
yeah, was like, nope, this guy's really creepy. I don't want to go on a date with him. And good thing she did because, she probably would have got murdered.
Yeah. Well, I'm still watching Your Honor, still enjoying that. I think this is maybe episode 6 tonight. Like I said, real well done, tremendous story. Big, multiple layers of story, complicated story, but not too complicated to understand. Just complex and complicated that you don't know how it's going to end, which is really good.
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah. But other than that, hopefully, good luck getting vaccines. Hopefully we start pulling ourselves out of, 2021 seems to be continuing 2020. It's like the deluxe edition. But, wear your masks, stay safe, stay healthy.
Hope 45 plays a lot of golf this week and not much else.
Exactly.